Most unique cities in the world with 300 days of sunshine while it celebrates its historic 300th birthday. Welcome to San Antonio's Tricentennial, a full year of events, exhibits, and unmatched fun. There's never been more to do, experience, and taste than right now, and it's all waiting for you here in this one-of-a-kind city, rich in culture, character, and endless entertainment. Plan your perfect trip at visitsanantonio.com.
More trouble for tech. Both Amazon and Tesla stocks have been slammed this week. Tesla because of a credit rating downgrade and an NTSB investigation into a fatal crash involving Tesla's self-driving features. And Amazon after Axios Media reported President Trump is obsessed with the company and has wondered aloud if there's a way to go after it with antitrust laws. You won't see Cosmopolitan magazine at the Walmart checkout line anymore. Walmart is relegating it to the store's magazine section because of its racy headlines.
But now, as Walmart takes a stand against Cosmo in the context of the Me Too movement, stop the violence! Some loyal readers say reducing the visibility of the magazine undermines its influence on women's liberation.
I feel like women should be able to express themselves how they would like to. I kind of like that women kind of get to be sexually free. You know, we're in such a world with just like so many double standards where it's okay for men, but it's not okay for women.
If you don't want to see those magazines or don't want to contribute, then you don't pick it up.
NBC's Jolene Kent reporting fingerprint scans are now available at Delta Sky Clubs across the country. Travelers will now have the option to get into the airport clubs with the fingerprint scan instead of having to show a boarding pass or a membership card. Taco Bell is moving from the drive-thru to a store shelf near you. Beginning this May, Taco Bell branded tortilla chips are rolling out to grocery and convenience stores nationwide. And the Carl's Jr. burger chain's effort to honor film director Steven Spielberg is falling flat. It wanted to rename its new $1 char-broiled slider the Spielburger. Spielberg himself tweeted this video response.
They're pretty good, but I'm passing. Cease and desist. Can't do it. Sorry, guys.
Carl's Jr. does have a licensing agreement with Spielberg's new film Ready Player One. In a statement, the chain just says it's excited Spielberg actually responded and that he said he likes the sliders. Consumer and Business News, Joe McConnell, NBC News Radio.
Duncan Holder, Thursday, March 29th in downtown New Orleans, Louisiana, the greatest city on the planet. I am your co-host, Jeff Duncan, alongside Clyde Verdun and David DeCorbier, and we've got a great show lined up on a rainy Thursday in New Orleans. Kind of a grubby day. What better thing to do on a crappy day like this than to talk a little Saints NFL draft, a little sports. We got a plethora of sports to discuss today.
Yeah, we're hitting everything today, I think.
Yeah, we're hitting a lot of topics, but let me go over the quick lineup and fill you in because this is going to be one of our best shows ever. I'm convinced it's going to be one of the best we've ever had, and that's saying something because we've had some great shows along the way. First of all, we want to talk Saints draft. I dropped my third Saints NFL draft on NOLA.com this morning, and the action has been fast and furious, as always. Highly anticipated, much awaited mock draft 3.0.
Never duplicated.
Yes, and it is on NOLA.com. You can find it now, but we want to get into the New Orleans Saints draft. We've already heard from Sean Payton this week as he identified the draft needs for the New Orleans Saints. The off-season needs is probably more specific and more accurate. But we want to hear from you what you think the Saints need to do in the upcoming NFL draft. I mean, free agency is kind of playing itself out. Frankly, by now, anybody you bring in is probably going to be a role player or a backup player. So where do you think the Saints need to go in the NFL draft? You want to call the program, you know the number 260-1280, 504-260-1280. We'll take your calls and your suggestions and your picks for the NFL draft. In the first hour, we're also going to visit with Tim Grubbs, the play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Babycakes. They open the 2018 season a week from today against the Nashville Sounds out at the Shrine, and we want to get a kind of a season preview from Tim. I'm looking forward to that. because there's always, at this time of year, a little flux in the roster as the major league team, the Miami Marlins, make their 25-man roster designations, and then you find out who's going to be on the AAA level with the Babycakes. So we'll talk to Tim about the roster and how that shapes up. And then at the 11 o'clock hour, hour 2, we're going to visit with Fletcher Mackel, the always opinionated, always interesting sports director from WDSU TV. Fletcher was down in Orlando along with our Larry Holder at the NFL owners meetings. We'll get his thoughts on what Sean Payton had to say, what Gail Benson had to say, and also we always know Fletcher is on the pulse of the New Orleans Pelicans. He's probably conjuring up new trade proposals right now for the trade machine, probably calling Dell Demps to let him know there's some Euro shooting guard over in Serbia that he can get in the second round. But we'll talk to Fletcher about that. And then at 11:30, our weekly visit with Todd the Marshman Masson from NOLA.com. Of course, we'll get the lay of the land on the outdoors, where you can find the redfish and speckled trout this weekend. And I also want to follow up, because last time we talked to him last week, he was on the water, or getting ready to go on the water, I believe, out at City Park.
Yeah, the City Park Bass Fishing Rodeo is coming up soon, I believe. So I think they were getting, because he was actually, mid-interview with the current record holder for the for the largest bass caught at City Park.
Todd Mason,
yeah,
or something like that.
Oh, you're Marshman Mason? So before he says Todd Masson.
We'll talk to Todd, and if you haven't seen his videos on NOLA.com, I wholeheartedly endorse them, and I know we're colleagues, and I'm obviously promoting somebody that I work with, but Todd's videos are great, and if you like to fish, no one knows more about it or is better at educating you than Todd. Lots of news today. I want to run down the list of some news items also that came in. Very sad news here in New Orleans. Rusty Staub, the former New York Mets legend, Jesuit High alum, died down in Florida at the age of 73. And Rusty Staub, of course, one of the great baseball players to ever come out of our state, had a great career with the New York Mets. And he passed away at the age of 73 today. We'll have a story. We've got a story up on NOLA.com right now. We will have an obituary as well. I know they're working on that. Also, another addition to the Zurich Classic. Got this email today from Tom Long. Yet another team has committed to the Zurich Classic. Ian Poulter is coming along with Graham McDowell. And that's another veteran team, a high-profile team that joins the list. The European Ryder Cup stars going to be coming here to the Zurich Classic. And again, the field just continues to get better and better at the Zurich Classic. And we're looking forward to broadcasting Duncan Holder out at the tournament that week. We're hoping to get good weather, but nevertheless, I can't wait. It's one of my favorite events to cover every year, and the field just looks tremendous. And what's good about these announcements now is we're getting to see who's coming to the Zurich Classic about a week before. Of course, the Masters is next week in Augusta, Georgia, so we'll get a chance to watch these players that have committed to the Zurich Classic as they tee it off at Augusta National. And let's go to the phone lines. Ron, let's go. Monroe. Okay, Teron. My goodness, I hope this is Teron Johnson.
Go. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just, I was online and I seen the number. I was like, I gotta call and share my opinion.
That's what we're here for, man. Let it go. Let it rip. What you got?
Yes, sir. Well, in this year, last year's draft, we picked some nice athletes to join the squad. And I feel like Drew Brees need someone that's gonna back him up at quarterback after he leaves. It's either that, I believe he needs a wide receiver from the first round.
Who in particular you like, Teron?
In particular, I feel like, since we signed Benjamin Watson, I was thinking of a tight end, but I believe that should go, later in the round.
Right.
I feel like we need to upgrade the wide receiver core like DJ Chark.
Okay.
Or DJ Moore, and if not, Cortland Sutton from SMU. I believe he could be a pick, but that's if no one grabs him early. But at quarterback, I believe that Lamar Jackson could be behind Drew Brees. I believe he could. He just probably need, someone to carry him, to help him develop as in being a quarterback.
I like it.
One of those.
I like
one
it,
of those
Teron.
in the pocket.
Okay.
In the pocket and read the defense. I feel like he'll be a good one. Then also, I believe Baker Mayfield will be a good one, but I believe he may be gone between top first and 15. But you never know how the draft may go.
Well, that's the problem. At 27, so many things happen in front of you. You're kind of almost reliant on everything falling to you and seeing who you have highest on your board. One last thing real quick, Teron. What do you like? That's funny you bring up DJ Moore because that is actually who I have slotted to the Saints at number 27 in my latest mock. What do you like about him?
Man, I like I really like how he just catch the ball, then gain more yards after the catch, which means I like how he just received the ball and then just take it, just take off with it, which means I like his route running and I like his hands.
I agree.
I can see that that he knows how to break tackles and get extra yardage, like he fight for more yards. And I feel like that he'll be a good aspect, for the team. Him, Michael Thomas, Benjamin Watson, and he'll be a good athlete on the team with them. I believe so. But I believe we need to upgrade the D-line as well, too. The D-line. The defense end and that D tackle.
All right, Teron, thanks for the call. We appreciate the input.
That's you know what? Shout out to him, man. Shout out to Teron, man. That's a great call to start. Because, I'm not going to lie to you. I was feeling some type of way this morning, man. I just can't I can't tell you what it was. I don't know if it's the rain. Just, I don't know if I need a vacation. But I was feeling some type of way this morning. And maybe it's because so yesterday's post, which I debated whether or not I was going to go back and forth, and we're going to get into all what Teron talked about here.
Right.
But the biggest thing was I was very surprised at the number of people, specifically on the post that I did, which was playing audio from Sean Payton, and then specifically talking about Lamar Jackson and having Larry's tweet about how Sean Payton says he likes Lamar Jackson. Again, all I put in the story was about how it's, you don't have to necessarily link all of them together, but clearly if people are talking about it, and I just saw another mock draft that did not have a consensus for the Saints, but one name of the two names that came up was Lamar Jackson. And the only reason I put it out there was because it's an idea to think about. It's something not to latch on to, but the amount of vitriol towards Lamar Jackson for me is very surprising. I've seen why would the Saints want him? Aaron Brooks 2.0. He can't throw. He can't read a defense, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's hard to believe that when Pro Football Focused had him at a passer rating with a clean pocket among the top 6 quarterbacks in college with a rating over 100. That's including Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Kyle Rudolph, guys like that. Those numbers aren't there for fun. It means that he has a clean pocket. He is just as good as these top quarterbacks.
I think there's a little subtle racism in all this stuff when I hear these kind of things. I've seen Lamar Jackson play. You don't play in Bobby Petrino's pro-style system and not be able to read defenses. It's really, I think, a knock on Jackson, and people that say that are just flat out ignorant. They don't know what they're talking about because Lamar Jackson can play at anywhere in the NFL, and he's I think going to be a really, really good pro in time. And that's not a knock on him. I think there are a lot of players that would benefit by coming in and sitting a year or two and developing into an NFL-style quarterback, and I think he's one of many. I think every quarterback that comes into the league's going to go through a transition process. You don't have too many Andrew Lucks.
Yeah.
Those guys are rare.
Yeah.
But look, I love that call because we got immediately into discussion on who Teron liked. I want to get your thoughts on who you like. I'm all over this DJ Moore kid. I'll talk a little more about that after this break that we're getting ready to take, and we'll come back.
Obviously, great minds, too, because he was able to pull that out real quick. So,
yeah, I like DJ Moore a lot, and I'll tell you why after this break. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you when I go out. Yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be.
Alvin Gentry went off.
You can't guess on a foul.
But I think he should have went a little bit further than he did.
Call it both ways.
It's been something that I think should have happened a long time ago. It's almost 3 blind mice that are officiating games.
Eric Asher, weekdays, noon to 2.
You get a strong opinion each and every day.
You know, before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu, where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
Offer ends 4/16/18. First lines $100 a month. Lines 2 to 4 free. Requires 1 line to port in. Includes unlimited talk, text, and data with video streams at up to 480p. Music at up to 500 kilobits per second. Gaming up to 2 megabits per second. DDD prioritization during congestion. Free phones require port-in, purchase of eligible device, and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to 1 Hulu limited commercial plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
Hi, Eric Asher with celebrity chef Scott Craig of Katie's. Scott, you have to be excited about Katie's expanded second floor seating and private dining rooms.
Yeah, but how about my vast local sports knowledge?
You know sports, but shouldn't we be talking about your award-winning Sunday brunch?
I'd rather talk about the Saints and the Pels.
How about your award-winning pizza or daily specials?
How about them Saints?
I admit you have a great take on local sports, but what about Katie's award-winning menu?
Okay, folks, I invite you to dine at Katie's. Eric and I don't have to brag about the food at Katie's. The food speaks for itself.
Katie's open 7 days a week in the heart of Mid-City at 3701 Oppenheimer.
The durability of tile, the beauty of wood. It's easier than ever to have both with Wood Look Tile. The Home Depot makes the wood look floor you want affordable with Ansley Amber Wood Look Tile starting at $1.89 a square foot. It truly is the best of both worlds, durable and beautiful. Ansley Amber Wood Look Tile starting at just $1.89 a square foot. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store.
Pandora is jumping into the playlist business. Music streaming companies taking a page out of rival Spotify's playbook and will offer personalized playlists built to fit users' moods, activities, and genres. Pandora says their playlist will be powered by their Music Genome Project, which it's been developing for over 10 years and is capable of classifying music at the song level across 450 different attributes. Some playlists will be in response to a listener's activity, so if you're playing a lot of upbeat pop music, a playlist called Your Party Soundtrack might suddenly appear. KGI Security says the Apple Watch 4 will come out this fall and have a 15% larger display, enhanced health monitoring, and longer battery life. Firebox will now make sure your luggage never gets mistaken for someone else's. Send the website your picture, and they'll create a custom-made double polyester spandex cover that you can plaster on both sides of your suitcase. Prices range from $26 to $39. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News and Radio.
Baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. My motto's always
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Cold dark night when everything's a little clearer in the light.
Can we just let that breathe a little bit?
Yeah, come on, New Orleans, sing along.
I mean, Clyde's got his lighter out.
No, I don't. Not that I hate this song, but no, I don't.
Little
I'm
yacht
just going
rock.
to run it on a 24-hour loop and lock y'all in the studio.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. If you want to see the definition of like insanity and or want to see a replay of Get Out, the live version, then that's what that would be.
Come
for
on,
me.
Clyde. It's great.
Just like an anchor band.
That's great stuff. How could you not like that?
I didn't say I didn't. I didn't say I didn't like it. That's not true.
Everybody who's listening right now will have that song stuck in their head.
Absolutely, and you're welcome for that. That's Jeff's fault, so
Rightfully
blame
so.
him.
Is that the Starland vocal band?
That is a Starlight vocal band. That's true. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And now we're gonna go walk across the street and get in a fight with WDSU Channel 6.
We're talking,
just like in Anchorman.
We are talking Saints NFL draft. I dropped my mock draft this morning on NOLA.com. I've said that now about 4 times in the program. And I have DJ Moore, a Maryland wide receiver, going to the Saints. I got to be honest, I wasn't real familiar with DJ Moore before the draft process started up. But the more I read about him, the more I liked. He's kind of a Golden Tate, Steve Smith clone. In other words, he's in his frame. He's short and stocky, a lot like Steve Smith,
Short
a little
and
like
stocky.
Golden Tate, more almost built like a running back than a wide receiver. And I think he would fit perfectly into the Saints offense alongside Mike Thomas, Ted Ginn Jr. He could play the slot. He's a really good runner after the catch. And the thing I like best about him, the more you read about his intangibles, he's revered by his coaches at Maryland, apparently has an infectious attitude, team first guy, first one in the weight room, last one to leave, that kind of dude. That's what the Saints are looking for. When you listen to Sean Payton talk about what they look for in their player procurement, he and Jeff Ireland have put an emphasis on passion about the sport, accountability, leadership traits, football character, all these things that if you look at last year's draft class, every player checked those boxes. And I think they're going to continue to follow that prescription this year. So if you could find guys that have some off-the-field issues or that aren't passionate about the sport, if you read in their scouting reports where it says motor runs hot and cold, takes plays off, I'm telling you, you can just scratch those guys off the Saints list, or they would take them lower in the draft where the risk-reward is appropriate. They're not going to take somebody like that with that kind of scouting report high in the draft. They're just not going to do it. It's not part of what Jeff Ireland believes in, and I think the Saints have learned their lessons on some of these risks, and they're sticking with these guys that might not have the biggest upside in the world, but they're not going to bust.
Right, and that actually leads into a tweet that I just saw come across our Twitter handle at Duncan Holder. If you're on Twitter, follow us. Text us during the show. We'll read them. We'll read as many as we can that we get during the show. And also, if you find us on YouTube, you can watch our YouTube stream on New Orleans Saints on NOLA.com. We have a chat there. Go in there, meet our folks. It's good stuff. But this one from David LaCroix at CRZ4 LSU. The Saints are in a win-now mode with a 3-4 year window with Drew and before Saints had to pay Thomas and Lattimore Kamara rookie class. I think pick 27 needs to be someone to contribute now, not a QB that will sit 3 to 4 years. So that kind of plays and ties into a little bit of what you're saying, because if we're looking at somebody who can come in right away and can contribute, then you're probably leaning away from a quarterback at that point. And a wide receiver would be that. For me, I still think – after getting Ben Watson yesterday, that signals to me more than ever that the Saints could go at tight end for number 27. And for me, that's probably, I would say, anywhere between Hayden Hurst, Gesicki from Penn State,
Mike Gesicki,
or if he even falls that far, Dallas Goedert. So those are I'm going tight end, and it's one of those three guys.
Well, I think Gesicki is going to be the first tight end off the board. Actually, I think he'll go before.
You think he jumps
Dallas Goedert.
And Andrews from Oklahoma?
Oh yeah, Andrews is he's not even looked at even as a first or second round pick right now. He's more of a mid round guy. He's limited. He's basically a pass catching tight end wide receiver hybrid. He's not an all around tight end. Gesicki's is the best tight end in the draft. He's going to be a not quite Jimmy Graham impact, but that kind of talent that can go down the seam, can also block. He's a complete guy. Hayden Hurst, very similar. It's a good year for tight ends in the draft. I don't think the signing of Ben Watson is going to preclude the Saints from taking a tight end. I mean, they only signed him for 1 year. We've talked about it on the program before. Tight end's one of the hardest positions to learn, especially in the Saints system where they use the tight end and fullback almost interchangeably. There's a lot for a young kid to learn, and they don't have a lot of time to do it. So whoever they bring in probably isn't going to see the field at tight end as a rookie, but they've got 4 veteran tight ends on the roster right now. We don't know what's going to happen with Kobe Fleener. I'm starting to think they may cut him loose after June 1, maybe because of health reasons. I don't know. But it just seems like you've got 4 veteran guys on the roster already, and Sean Payton's still talking about tight end being a need. If you want to call and give us your thoughts on the Saints mock draft, 504-260-1280 is the number to call. We'd love to hear what you think the Saints should do, in particular in the first round of the draft. Sean Payton has already identified their must needs, and that was edge rusher, tight end, and wide receiver. But you know what? You can have those must needs, and if the board doesn't fall your way, you don't force the hand. You don't go in a direction just to fill a need. The Saints needed an edge rusher a year ago. the board didn't fall their way at 11 or at wherever they took, I think it was 31, they took Ryan Ramczyk.
Yeah.
And they wisely did not veer off track, even though I thought they should have traded up to get like Tack McKinley at the bottom of the first round. It worked out well. They took the best players on the board and hit home runs on their first 4 picks between Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, and who was I'm thinking of Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara.
Can't forget about him. Can't forget about the other
rookie of the year. Those 4 picks, they stayed true to their board. All of them they had graded as first or second round talents, and it bared out. So I don't think they have to force their hand to take a tight end if they don't want one. If the wide receiver they have left available at number 27 isn't graded that high, I don't think they have to force their hand there either. I think they just take the best player on the board.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that for me is the elephant in the room. Is it's always that unspoken nature of how the draft can go. And I think we can really put on the NFL draft a couple of things. One, it's going to be a little bit unpredictable because of, I think, the number of quarterbacks and Saquon Barkley. That's the X factor. And then 2, someone's going to fall that was a lockdown, surefire pick that somehow, for some reason, hopefully not like we've seen in the past where things come out before the draft, and then that's how your stock falls. You've got to have a press conference about what you may or may not have done, and things like that. But someone's stock is going to fall, and someone's going to fall in that draft. That's going to cause chaos and havoc, because then everybody, every team, every organization in their war room is completely scratching off and redoing their boards and things like that. And that was something interesting that I think also Sean Payton said yesterday in our audio about that like front board, I'm trying to think of the term they used. It was like front board projections, or when they were talking about quarterbacks, like how they've done research, but they haven't gone any further than like front board projections, I guess, which is just, I would imagine, is you're just stock board of like, here's what we've seen, here are the guys we like, even though we're probably not going to get any of them, but we still need to at least do our homework. But every team is going to be scrambling to try to figure out, well, what do we do now? Like, because we had this guy, and then if things fall this way, you got to imagine there's a whole lot of scenarios for all these teams if things start to go a little haywire. And I think that's a question that we'll talk about after Tim Grubbs, because I think that should be the post of the day. How likely is it that we're doing all this work talking about the number 27 picks, and the Saints either trade out, trade up, or trade away the first round pick to get something else later on at the end of it?
I think it's very likely the Saints make a deal one way or the other. I don't think 8 draft picks will be selected by the New Orleans Saints this year. All right, let's switch gears after this break, and we'll talk a little Babycakes baseball with Tim Grubbs. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by Regional Planning Commission.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. Get the umbrellas ready. We are expecting heavy rain, showers, and thunderstorms. Some of those could be strong to even possibly severe late morning through the afternoon. We're expecting an 80% chance of rain. Now tonight, all the rain ends. Overnight lows in the low to mid 50s, so we cool down and get ready for a beautiful upcoming holiday weekend. Good Friday, turning mostly sunny at 73. Saturday, sunny at 76. And mostly sunny Easter Sunday, warming up to 81. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
Crashes happen when you don't watch out for others on the road. When biking, obey stop signs and traffic lights. When driving, stop for people in crosswalks. When walking, obey traffic signals. Be attentive, be patient, be predictable. Being safe is a shared responsibility. Remember, you're not alone on the road.
Thinking about redoing your kitchen or bath, or maybe adding a new fence or roof but don't know where to start? Check out Lowe's Home Services. Start with a free consultation and let us help bring your ideas to life. Our team will manage your project, handling the details the whole way through. So, now that you have a go-to, start your project today by calling 1-800-GO-LOWES. See Lowe's.com for licensing.
It's music to your ears, the chance to visit one of the most unique cities in the world while it's celebrating its historic 300th birthday. Welcome to San Antonio's Tricentennial, a full year of events, exhibits, and unmatched fun. There's never been more to do, experience, and taste than right now. And it's all waiting for you here in this one-of-a-kind city, rich in culture, character, and endless entertainment. Plan your perfect trip at visitsanantonio.com.
Did you know with the free iHeartRadio app, you can type in the name of your favorite artist and get a station full of their biggest hits, including similar artists picked just for you, songs handpicked by real people, fellow music fanatics. And as you thumb songs up or down, we personalize the station to fit you even better. It is that easy. Just type in the name of your favorite artist and let us get to work. It's the easy-to-use app for music and radio, and it couldn't be simpler. Download our free iHeartRadio app today.
Jimmy John's Freaky Fast, Freaky Fresh.
I'm calling because I saw one of your delivery persons today, and he was totally naked.
Ma'am, I sincerely want to apologize for any...
Buck naked right there on the street.
Ma'am, we're doing all we can to...
And I say it's about darn time.
I know, and I'm gonna... Wait, what?
The human body is a beautiful thing, don't you agree?
Well,
We've suffered the tyranny of clothing for way too long.
Okay, but...
So thanks, Jimmy John's, for going all natural.
Actually, ma'am, it's our meats that are all natural.
Say what now?
Our meats are all natural. Wood smoked ham, choice roast beef, real fresh turkey breast, all natural and freaky fresh.
So I don't suppose I can expect all natural delivery in the future.
No.
Darn.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Our insiders are talking your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back. Duncan Holder. Happy to be joined by Tim Grubbs, the play-by-play announcer of the New Orleans Babycakes, which you can listen to right here on Sports 1280. We are the flagship station of the New Orleans Babycakes. Tim, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us. You getting excited?
Yeah, I'm getting excited. I was down in Florida last week taking in some spring training baseball. And, you know, even if you're not excited before that, once you get a taste of it and you hear the crack of the bat, that gets you going.
No doubt about it. And Major League Baseball opening day is today after the Reds Nationals got rained out yesterday. And everybody's going to start getting into the baseball frame of mind. And I'm curious. I know that usually on opening day, which is a week from tonight, out at the Shrine, the Babycakes usually have a lot of festivities built around opening day. Can you kind of let us know what's going to be going on opening night?
Well, we got fireworks to start, which, of course, that'll be post-game, which everybody loves. You know, we also have replica jersey giveaway, and it's the blue jersey that says Cakes on the front with that wrought iron gold letters or gold numbers. And it looks good. I mean, if you want to see it, go to our website at cakesbaseball.com. It's not a cheap giveaway. It's certainly something that people will be proud to wear. And we'll have a band on the plaza before the game, and just all types of random stuff throughout the game just to entertain people. And for folks that have been to the ballpark, they know it's more than just a baseball game. You know, we've got all those in-between inning promotions and different things like that. So we're pretty excited about it and excited about the young team that'll be on the field as well.
Yeah, Tim, that kind of leads into my question. You know, obviously with the connection to the Marlins, now with Derek Jeter under ownership, overseeing the club, and lots of clear out. Talk a little bit about how the Cakes are handling that and the importance of how the farm system for the Marlins now could be just as important as it has been in the past.
Well, you know, with the Marlins trading away all their big players, you know, they traded away 4 All-Stars this offseason. It was probably tough news if you're a Miami Marlins fan, but it's great news if you're a Cakes fan because, you know, now all of a sudden we've got this influx of all these prospects and these top players in minor league or Major League Baseball. And, you know, we don't have our official roster yet, but I know we're going to have a handful of them on our ball club, and there'll also be a handful of them, of course, down in Jacksonville and in Greensboro, our single-A club. But we'll have a lot more younger team than we've had, and it'll be quite an influx of guys going from here to Miami. So, I mean, it'll be – last year when we took the field, I think our average age of the roster was around 26, 27, you know, which was a little bit of an older team. I think this year when we start up things a week from now, it'll probably be closer to 23 or 24. So with some young 20-year-old or 21-year-olds on the club.
Yeah, Tim. I mean, that, and clearly not only with a young club, every year seems to bring a new set of rules for not just baseball at the major league level, but in every other level subsequently. I know that there have been some changes to to the game in terms of pace of play, things like that, and one that I think has been very, very talked about in the international tiebreaker, which I've seen covering college softball on that. And that lot like that. Can you talk a little bit about some of the new rules and some of the new things and wrinkles that people can expect to see when they come out to the Shrine this year?
Yeah, one of the things that Major League Baseball does with minor league baseball, especially at the AAA level, is we're their guinea pig. They like to experiment stuff down here, see if it works, and they'll take what they get, the information from here, and then potentially move it to the major leagues. And one of them, of course, is they're being a little more aggressive on the pitch clock, so the pitch clock will be a little quicker than what it has been. And then the 6 visits to the mound, with catchers, coaches, whatever. So that's really going to speed the game up. Just you're not going to have that catcher walking out there, every pitcher, especially every batter, especially when you got to the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning in those big situations like you see so often, which that really stalls a game. But, the one thing that's really interesting, and I'm actually still a little shocked that they actually went through with it, is that international tiebreaker deal is when we go to the 10th inning, there's going to be a runner at second base to start the inning, and that'll happen every extra inning if there is. And I think that's going to take away any chances of, I would assume, a 15 or a 16-inning game. I think our longest game last year was 15 innings. I think the chances of that happening are probably pretty slim. It'll be the runner it'll be the guy that goes out there is the guy that made the final out in the 9th.
Right.
He'll go out there. It's an unearned run for the pitcher, but you know what's going to happen. They're going to bunt him over, or there'll be an intentional walk to try to turn a double play. And whoever can get that first sacrifice fly, there's a run in, and the game probably will be over pretty quick, I would assume. So from a pace of game and from a development standpoint, our players, we're here to develop. We're here to help the major league club. And, when we tax our pitching staff, it's tough for the next couple of days. So this will help the manager out, and that's in that regard, that you don't have to empty the bullpen on a given night.
Talking to Tim Grubbs, the play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Babycakes. And, Tim, I know you mentioned that the roster's still in a state of flux. One guy that I'm curious about, I don't know if he's going to end up here or not, but you might have a better idea. Magneuris Sierra, the outfielder. I know he came over from the St. Louis Cardinals, and I don't believe he made the parent club, the big club, but do you know if he's going to be with us here, and maybe some other names that might be on the roster, some of these young prospects that fans might get a chance to see out here at the Shrine?
Yeah, his name is, and I'm not making fun of you, because I did not know how to pronounce his name until about a week ago when I was in Florida.
How do you do it?
Sierra.
Okay.
He is going to be on our club from all intentions. He did not make the major league team. All of the things you see on Marlins.com and when you read Baseball America is that he will be here in New Orleans, and he's a bright prospect. He was the key to getting that trade with St. Louis. And also the other player that was also in that trade for Marcell Ozuna is Sandy Alcantara, who I would assume will be our opening day starter. This guy is he was the Cardinals' number 2 prospect. Sierra was I think the number 4 prospect. Alcantara throws 100, but this Sierra guy, he's not going to bring a lot of power. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs from what it looks like, but he's going to be a lot of fun to broadcast, because there's nothing more fun as a play-by-play broadcaster, or to me in baseball, than seeing triples. And when you see a guy that can really run like that and can run it down the outfield, I think that's going to add a lot more excitement to the game.
No doubt about it. And, he's one of those typical, former Cardinal. Remember, the Cardinals always had those guys that could run the bases, and looks like he'd fit in perfectly with the Miami Marlins down the road. I'm curious, Tim, next week, if you want to check out the games, obviously we've got them right here at 1280, Sports 1280, but if you want to come out, I'm sure there are plenty of tickets available next weekend for the opening day against the Nashville Sounds.
Yeah, no, we have tickets available. You can go to cakesbaseball.com or call 734-5155. But a big weekend. We're home for 5 to start. Fireworks on opening night, which is Thursday, plus the jersey. Fireworks again on Friday, which we'll do Fireworks Friday all year this year. Saturday is a T-shirt giveaway. Sunday is Kids Day, and then Monday is one of those day games, which I guess won't come on the air. We're going to cut your program a little short as we come on.
It's okay.
And then we head out of town. So, but no, we're excited. Weather should be great, and I'm looking forward to starting the season. We opened the ballpark the other day for the Wally Pontiff game. It was great to see all the LSU and the Raging Cajun fans out here. So now looking forward to kick it going with the Cakes.
Now, do we still have Thirsty Thursdays going on? I'm assuming we do, or not.
Yes, we do. That's the promotion. I don't think that'll ever go away.
I hope not.
It's just the perfect tie-in to the city of New Orleans.
No doubt about it. All right, Tim Grubbs, play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Babycakes. Make sure you check out Babycakes baseball here at Sports 1280. And Tim, have a great season. We'll see you out at the Shrine here in the near future.
Yeah, I look forward to it. You guys, you have an open invitation if you want to join Ryan and I in the booth, talk a little sports.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds like a winner to us.
Will do. Thanks, Tim. We much appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Duncan Holder will be back after this break. You're listening to Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
The sun came out today. We're born again. There's new grass on the field. Around the third and headed for home. It's a brown-eyed, handsome man. Anyone can understand the way I feel. Oh, put me in cold. I'm ready to play today.
Oh, smart speaker on my desk. Who is smarter than all the rest?
A stable genius you may be, but those who win the smart money are surely more wise than thee.
You have up to 16 chances a day, every weekday to win $1,000 on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I'm Dave Marley, president of Marley Drug. Are you taking Viagra? Now you can get sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, in generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet. That's a savings of $50 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic sildenafil to your door. For more information on sildenafil, go to marleygenerics.com or call us at 800-853-6375. That's 800-853-6375.
The durability of tile, the beauty of wood. It's easier than ever to have both with Wood Look Tile. The Home Depot makes the wood look floor you want affordable with Ansley Amber Wood Look Tile starting at $1.89 a square foot. It truly is the best of both worlds, durable and beautiful. Ansley Amber Wood Look Tile starting at just $1.89 a square foot. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. 20 years ago, when my mom had lung cancer, she didn't have many choices. But today you do. If you've been diagnosed with lung cancer, please visit standuptocancer.org/lungcancer to learn more.
The Weeknd is dropping hints that he may be releasing the follow-up to his 2016 album Starboy. The Starboy singer posted a screenshot on Instagram of a text conversation with a message that reads, "Should we drop Friday? I'm indifferent, to be honest." The post is made more credible considering Friday is the day new music is normally released, and the fact that next month The Weeknd is set to headline Coachella along with Beyonce and Eminem. The members of Lady Antebellum plan on bringing their 6 kids on the road with them this summer. With the addition of Dave Haywood's daughter in December and Hillary Scott's twin girls in January, the total number of baby Antebellums is 6. In a recent interview, Charles Kelly said they always put family first. Lady A's Summer Plays On tour kicks off on July 19th in Toronto. Rihanna is releasing another Fenty Beauty product. She took to Instagram to showcase a new body glitter highlighter called Body Lava. It comes in 2 shades and will be out April 6th. Def Leppard is ready to reward fans with the release of a career-spanning box set series. Volume 1, the first of 4 separate packages, will arrive June 1st. That's entertainment. Lisa G., NBC News Radio.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdun back at you. Thursday, March 29th. Rainy, overcast day in New Orleans. We're talking Saints NFL draft. That was a great visit with Tim Grubbs. Kind of got me excited for Babycakes baseball. Opening day a week from tonight. Out at the Shrine on Airline.
Oh, and we're going to be out there a lot, dude.
Yeah, I can see why. You'll probably be out there every Thirsty Thursday, knowing you, Dave.
No, well, I'm going to be out there with the Sports 1280 vans and banners and shaking babies and kissing hands.
Yeah, that's exactly how that works.
Strike that, reverse that.
I need to get one of those Babycakes hats you have.
I know, I got one right here. It's awesome.
I need my own.
I like that jersey they're giving away, too.
Yeah, the merchandise for the Babycakes. I have to admit, I was indifferent when they first did it, but I'm warming to it.
A lot of people are still upset about it, which is still.
As far as merchandising went, though, they blew the roof off of the minor leagues. I mean, they were number one, and then they kept getting voted number one for best new logo and everything. And people bought the hell out of the merchandise.
There's no doubt. I mean, look, it's certainly better. The logo and everything is better than the Zephyrs. I'm sorry.
And calling it Cakes is fine. If you got to go and call it Babycakes, that's a little weird. But just Cakes baseball.
Yeah, it's like Pelicans.
Yeah. I just linked there was a story on cakesbaseball.com that Tim was talking about. It's the top or the 10 giveaway items this year that you should look out for. So I just tweeted that out from our Duncan Holder Twitter account. So if you want to look for that, that's where you go. I'm not. No, I don't. That's a tease, man. To go to the that's
rookie mistake. My bad.
Yeah, it's okay. But that does, just like rookie mistakes, or at least talking about rookies, this gets into the question that I had before Tim Grubbs came on, Jeff, that I would like to petition you. And I think we should probably petition Fletcher McElwain as well, just so I can add a little bit more to it. But with all the talk about the best player available and what the Saints need and what the Saints can do to maximize this draft like they've maximized the last few drafts, with picking number 27, if there's a need that you have, but there's not a player that you absolutely love or you absolutely are in love with that you have to have, that you have to be in the first round to get, why are we not talking more about the Saints possibly trading that pick to somebody else for maybe a second rounder, maybe for cash considerations or other things going forward? And how likely is it for that to possibly happen?
Well, I think this could be a year where the Saints trade down out of number 27 and reacquire that second-round pick that they lost for trading up to get Alvin Kamara, because there's still quality players there in the second round. And at 27, the difference in the player you're getting at 27 and who you would get in the second round is probably negligible. It's probably not much difference in the grade for those players. And the Saints could then use the rest of those picks in their lower and middle rounds to trade back up into the third and fourth round. 8 players from this draft are not going to make the Saints roster. It's not going to happen. This roster the last few years has been bolstered by the last 2 drafts, and there's a lot of good young talent on this team. So you're not going to have 8 players. It's useless to waste the draft picks on it when you can actually move around and manage the draft to get the targets you want, the players that you feel are going to make the team. That's what having draft collateral is all about. The Patriots masterfully do it every year. And the Saints, I think, have done a good job of acquiring picks. They got an extra pick for Adrian Peterson. They made some moves to get these low-round picks, and when they make them, it doesn't seem like much on the surface, but it allows you flexibility on draft day. I could see them moving up from 27, maybe using a pick to move up, but I actually think this might be the year they move down, get 2 second-round picks, if you will, and then these lower-round picks they're not going to use. They'll move, use them in a trade to move up maybe to a third or fourth rounder. I don't think 8 players are going to make this team, so I think they will be active. Matter of fact, I'm predicting it.
It's one of those things where I think if you look into the crystal ball and you try to decide what's best for an organization going forward in terms of being able to have that flexibility, not only with being able to work out possibly a trade with another team in terms of maybe you have a player there, or maybe you're working that to trade with a team that someone else has picked that you really like. It's interesting because I think all the talk that we've had so far this offseason has been about the needs, and Sean Payton has talked about the needs and going on and going forward. And there can't, and to me, it seems like if there isn't a consensus specifically on the draft, which the draft as we know it now today is more about projecting and getting a big need for a team that is struggling, i.e. the Browns, i.e. the Giants, i.e. The Colts, and so on and so forth. Because we're not talking about like San Francisco, because if San Francisco doesn't make the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, they're probably in this situation too. Because there's no way that the 49ers win 5 of their last 6 with Garoppolo winning those 5 if they don't make that trade during the season. So now they're not worried about that. Now they're worried about getting better. They're worried about getting depth now. For the Saints, clearly there is a strong core there. There's a strong nucleus of players that are on the roster, and as Larry has termed it, and other people, the cheap labor, because they're all on rookie deals, and Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, guys like that. It means that you have so much money to be able to use for some of your bigger name guys, i.e. Drew Brees, players like that, Patrick Robinson, players like that. It just seems to me that if there's not anybody in the draft who you believe, or if you're not drafting high enough, first 5, first 10, first 15, it almost seems like having a pick 15 and on is almost really seeing what you can move stacks-wise to a team that really wants that first-round pick, and then maybe giving you a chance to, like you said, it's really strange not having that second-round pick, but getting into that second round.
Well, I presume the Saints are not going to draft Lamar Jackson. I think Sean Payton's glowing scouting report the other day of Lamar Jackson had a little bit of strategy behind it, because Lamar Jackson is one of those players that somebody might trade back into the bottom of the first round to take. And if Sean Payton is waxing about how great Lamar Jackson is, he's planting a seed that potentially the Saints might select him. And I think there was a reason behind that. I think he wants people to believe that there's value to that. There's value late in the first round to taking a quarterback, a developmental prospect like Lamar Jackson, because you get 5 years. First-round draft picks have 5-year terms on their contracts. So someone like Lamar Jackson, you can redshirt him basically, let him sit behind a veteran, and that's probably going to happen with a lot of these first-round draft picks, and then you have them under contract for 5 years, as opposed to second round. You take somebody at the top of the second round, the way Drew Brees was selected, and you only have 4 years of control over that player. So there's a value to taking Lamar Jackson at the end of the first round, and he's the guy, I keep bringing his name up because he's the guy that's projected late in the first round.
Right.
It sounds like all the other top 4 quarterbacks, we're talking about Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, those are all projected top 15 kind of guys.
Yeah, Lamar seems to be in that class with like Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph, I'm sorry. I don't know what to call him Kyle. Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State. Lauletta from
Lauletta's more like a second, third round. Guy.
He's like he seems to be in that like second bulk 4. Almost.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think he's clearly a first round pick. He's just at the bottom of the first round.
Right.
But I think Sean Payton planted that seed in case somebody wants to trade up. The Saints could trade down, say, reacquire that second round pick, and then, like I said, they don't need the rest of those lower round picks. Those guys aren't even going to make the roster. I don't think this draft class, to be honest with you, is that deep when you look at it. But look, we want to get your thoughts. I keep throwing out the number, 260-1280. What do you think? Do you think the Saints go edge rusher in the first round? That's clearly their biggest need. But I don't see any edge rushers that tickle my fancy at the end of the first round. I don't see anybody that warrants using a first-round pick on at number 27. The guys that most people project as the top edge rushers are Bradley Chubb from North Carolina State and Marcus Davenport from Frank Wilson in Texas San Antonio, wide receiver, now edge rusher. Those guys are going to go off the board in the top 15 picks.
Yeah.
So the Saints are either going to have to trade up and get one of those guys, which would require a lot to get up that high, or they're going to have to just take the best player available and hope edge rusher. I don't know what they do about edge rusher.
That could be Sam Hubbard. That's at least what some people are kind of projecting to the Saints right now in terms of like defensive wise. Sam Hubbard from Ohio State still. It looks like he seems to be that guy that is going to go third, after those first two. So I think if you're looking at wanting to go defense, which not that defense, I mean, quarterback is always going to be a high risk, high reward kind of thing for teams to select. I think on that next plane though is an impact defensive player that you hope to be able to groom and watch grow, like maybe like a J.J. Watt kind. Because I mean, I know that because if we remember, like all the talks about Jadeveon Clowney, like there was some concern that Clowney was never going to be able to match the potential that he showed when he was at South Carolina. And it took some years before he finally was able to break out. But once he did, he was clearly a force. So it's with these guys, especially like these defensive impact guys. It's not a crapshoot, but it is a very calculated risk.
Yeah, and guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, he was taken in the second round by the Cowboys, 2014, hardly produced at all his first 2 or 3 years. Last year, 14.5 sacks.
Yeah.
Vic Beasley, taken late in the first round by the Falcons, doesn't produce at all as a rookie, and then blows up his second year. You got to have patience with some of these guys. All right, hour one in the books. Hour two just around the corner. We'll hear from Fletcher Mackel from WDSU at the top of the hour, and we'll also talk to Todd Marshman Masson.
We're going to ask him too about whether you trade up. I think he has a great. I think he has some knowledge on this. I think he would have a really good answer. So we're going to ask both these guys eventually.
Yeah, we're going to talk NFL draft, Saints draft, and we'll talk a little Pelicans action with Fletcher as well. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
Whip it good.
Here's today's tax tip. Income earned by U.S. citizens in other countries is no different than that earned in the U.S. and must be reported on tax returns.
The IRS considers all income to be taxable, and that means income that you earn worldwide. All of it is taxable unless specifically excluded in the Internal Revenue Code.
Catherine Verosi, an enrolled agent with Block Advisors in Colorado, says those Americans living abroad still have to file U.S. tax returns that include the income that's made in other countries. Verosi says filers have two options for taking care of their international income. They can take a foreign earned income exclusion for 2017, or they could also get a foreign tax credit for the amount of income that's taxed by another country. The IRS says those who choose the foreign tax credit generally must complete Form 1116 and attach it to their Form 1040. Verosi points out the credit isn't available unless a 1040 is filed. The good news is taxpayers have an extension of 1 year past the due date of their return. That's today's tax tip from NBC News Radio. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
The full list of the Naismith Hall of Fame inductees has not yet been released, but according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Grant Hill, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, and Maurice Cheeks have all been notified they are among those who will be enshrined in the class of 2018. Coach Lefty Drizel is also reportedly set to be enshrined. The formal announcement will be made during Final Four weekend. It is Major League Baseball's opening day. Reds and Nationals postponed already because of rain in the forecast. That opener will be played Friday with Max Scherzer and Homer Bailey still the pitching matchups. The Mets announced that beloved New York icon Rusty Staub passed away early this morning at age 73. The six-time All-Star spent 23 years in the bigs with 5 different teams, including 9 with the Mets. He's in their Hall of Fame, and he spent 4 with the Montreal Expos, who retired his number 10 jersey. Breaking sports news as it happens, I'm Deb Carson.
We are one more. Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword money to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's money to 200-200.
You know, before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu, where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
Offer ends 4/16/18. First line's $100 a month. Lines 2 to 4 free. Requires 1 line to port in. Includes unlimited talk, text, and data with video streams at up to 480p. Music at up to 500 kilobits per second. Gaming up to 2 megabits per second. Data deprioritization during congestion. Free phones require port-in, purchase of eligible device, and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to 1 Hulu limited commercial plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
What's better than getting $100 to switch to Jackson Hewitt? Getting $200 to switch. Say goodbye to your old tax service, and you'll get $100 when you file this year. Then you'll get another $100 when you file next year. That's right, $200 just for switching. Only at Jackson Hewitt. Each year, a minimum of $150 tax prep fee applies. Valid when you file with us. $100 provided on the card, not valid with any other promotion or discount. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text TIP to 321-321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenic samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text TIP to 321-321. That's TIP to 321-321.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Open Jar. Attention current or retired railroad employees. If you or a loved one worked for the railroad and were diagnosed with any form of cancer, call the Railroad Employee Cancer Helpline now. You may be entitled to significant compensation. Exposure to benzene, asbestos, chemical solvents, and welding fumes can all cause cancer and are commonly found in the railroad work environment. Federal law allows employees to sue a railroad company if their injuries were caused by or contributed from the company's negligence. Injured employees can recover compensation costs for medical treatment and for the employee's lost income due to their injuries. If you or a loved one worked for the railroad and then developed cancer, call the Railroad Employee Cancer Helpline at 800-590-8915. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting for their clients' rights, and they're ready to fight for you. Time to file a claim is limited, so call now. 800-590-8915. That's 800-590-8915. 800-590-8915.
Be a part of the New Orleans Tricentennial Dog Parade at NOLA City Bark to benefit NOLA City Bark. On April 22nd, bring your friends and family and show your NOLA spirit with your dog. This fun event will include a morning dog walk, costume contest, food trucks, and more. Celebrate the Tricentennial and support NOLA City Bark with the lucky dogs that get to call New Orleans home. Register before April 5th to have your dog's photo printed in Gambit. For more information, visit NOLACityBark.org.
Duncan Holder, live from the iHeartRadio studios in downtown New Orleans, the greatest city on the planet.
A cloudy city today.
Yes,
Very
cloudy, overcast, muggy. The summer is almost arrived. It feels like it outside here in New Orleans. I'm Jeff Duncan, your host alongside Clyde Verdun and Dave DeCorbier. And we are talking Saints NFL Draft, but we're also going to talk a little New Orleans Pelicans as we're in the thick of the NBA playoff race. I say the playoff race, the race for the playoffs. And the Pels are right in the thick of it. And they have a great shot, I think, to get their first playoff, only their second playoff berth in the Dell Demps era as general manager. And I'm still waiting. And I have to ask you about this because I talked to somebody. I'm putting you on the spot, Clyde. Putting you on the spot. I talked to somebody the other night that said the Pels did not have that great of a crowd the other night for their game against the Trailblazers. You said it was electric playoff environment. I heard it was. It was good, but it wasn't fantastic.
Okay, here's what I'd say. I would say that the amount of people who were there, they brought it. It felt larger than what it was.
Okay, I'm just making sure. All right, real quick, let's go to Reggie from Dallas, who's been very patient, called us earlier, sat through the break, and we would definitely want to hear Reggie's thoughts on the NFL Draft. What's going on, Reggie?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
All good here.
Hey, what I think the Saints should do with their pick, I think they should go after the kid from Texas A&M, the receiver, Christian Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Main reason I think that he's a dual threat. Not only is he good as a slot receiver, but he's awesome as a kick returner also.
Yeah.
And punt return.
I agree.
And, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I agree. That's one of the attractions, I think, of Christian Kirk. DJ Moore can also return punts as well. I don't know if he's quite as dynamic as Christian Kirk on punt returns, but I think that's a very key trait to have for any receiver that the Saints look at because, frankly, they haven't been able to solve their punt return issues for some time now. So what do you think, Reggie? I guess we lost Reggie. So Reggie in Dallas, but I think that's a good point because I think you can solve two positions with one draft pick when you get a guy like a Christian Kirk or a DJ Moore. Then you don't have to carry maybe Tommy Lee Lewis. I'm not ready to kick Tommy Lee Lewis to the curb, but he hasn't been as dynamic a punt returner and kick returner as I think the Saints had hoped for. So they might, at one point, look at finding somebody with some return skills, and we'll ask our next guest what he thinks about that. Fletcher Mackel joins the program right now, sports director, WDSU.
Let's light some stuff on fire for us. Let's go, man.
Yes, all things New Orleans sports. Fletcher, what's going on today, buddy?
I am doing well, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I was joking with the producer that I'm always honored to come on the show. It's like an every 4 to 6 month occurrence. So thank you for having me.
Nice.
Wow,
and,
shots to Dave. Well done.
You were just down in Orlando at the owners' meetings and got a chance to visit with Sean Payton at the annual coaches breakfast, and he laid out. And I was talking about this on the program the other day, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I think that we've seen a maturation, an evolution of Sean Payton as a head coach. And what I'm getting at, Fletch, is, early in his career, he'd play a lot of mind games on these kind of things. He wouldn't tell you who was on their must list. He'd try to play coy, say that they're not going to reveal that to the competition. Now I think in year 12 or going into year 13, he realizes everybody knows who the Saints need or what the needs are and what their priorities are. So he just lays it all out there, edge rusher, wide receiver, tight end. And I just think that's a changing philosophy with Sean Payton kind of realizing that, he doesn't need to play these mind games and can kind of get on to bigger matters as far as winning games.
I would agree 100%, and I would kind of just piggyback off of that, saying that philosophy has changed, or his philosophy has changed, that philosophical shift is because of longevity and confidence in everything that comes along with that. As a first-time head coach, he probably is a little bit more guarded and still figuring things out himself. Well, now, look, 12 years in, Sean Payton is truly one of the offensive innovators, I think, in NFL history, and one of the great offensive minds in the game today. So I think it's a confidence that comes with it. It's knowing who you are, what you do well, your strengths and weaknesses, and it's a different Sean Payton. I think that's true with anybody in any business in life. The longer you're there, the longer you figure things out. I think we can add a lot of other members of that organization into that pile as well. I think we've seen a different Mickey Loomis over the past couple of years as well. And so I think that's a good thing. You and I have talked about this. Tom Benson at times was loyal to a fault, but I think that having loyalty and sticking with people and allowing them to learn from their trials and tribulations is sometimes a good thing, and I think that's been beneficial for Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, and the Saints. So I would agree wholeheartedly with you that in years past he may not have sat there and said, these are must for us. Edge rusher, wide receiver, tight end. He may have been a little bit more guarded, but he was just flat out, here's what we need, and we still got to get it. And I think that is a philosophical shift in the head coach.
Well, look, I think we all agree that edge rusher is a must, is a top priority for the New Orleans Saints. The question I have, and I asked Larry Holder this the other day, is, okay, what are you going to do about it? Where do you find an edge rusher if you're drafting at number 27? The free agent market's pretty much tapped out. Where do they go to solve this problem that they got?
Look, I know everybody does mock drafts, and I love doing mock drafts. I have only done one mock draft since the season ended because I keep locking in on the same guy. In January, before we went to the Senior Bowl, I said I think they're going to draft Sam Hubbard out of Ohio State. And I still think they're going to draft Sam Hubbard out of Ohio State for multiple reasons. I think when you read about this guy coming out of Moore High School in Cincinnati, lacrosse player, all-state player, he's bulked up from a defensive back to be a defensive end. And everything I read about him just screams Saints player. I know that, the history with Ohio State and the Saints is well documented, but this is a guy that just seems to check so many boxes. A 4-3 defensive end, a guy who will fit best in a blitz-happy system. That's what Dennis Allen does. He may not be an electric, dynamic player, but he's just going to be ready to step in day one and produce at a solid level. So I haven't done any more mock drafts because I feel like if I don't change my first-round draft pick, what's the use in doing them? And I know some people don't have Sam Hubbard in the first round, but they certainly have him early second, and the Saints are picking 27th overall. I just think he's going to be a guy that is hovering in their orbit and may fit what they want, considering they need to improve at that position.
Well, Fletcher, that kind of takes us into the hypothetical that we brought up in the last segment before you came on, is that we've talked about not only Sam Hubbard, but there are a lot of guys that are being projected at that pick for the Saints, whether it's Sam Hubbard or Lamar Jackson or Hayden Hurst or whoever. There's so many guys that are being linked to the Saints, and there really is no one consensus on who that player should be. And so that I brought up specifically, if you were the Saints and if you were Mickey Loomis or whoever, with number 27 pick, knowing that we talk about the best player available, what would you keep that pick? Would you want to trade up, trade down, or would you want to look at making it part of a package to get somebody else? Because it just seems like with no consensus, it seems hard to really want to nail down somebody that you're either unsure of, or is that a position that you may not need or otherwise?
Look, here's the thing. I don't think the Saints are trading down, and I know that Jeff has probably discussed this because he's covered, the Saints longer than any of us, right now. But that's not their mindset. I remember I got here in 2002. In 2003, they traded up for Jonathan Sullivan. In 2008, they traded up for Cedric Ellis. I mean, this is a team that trades up. They traded up for Brandon Cooks. They don't trade back. Loomis and Sean Payton, in my opinion, are aggressive. And they're going to go up and get somebody, but they have never believed in that kind of New England Patriots philosophy of trade back, get multiple picks, and enhance your roster that way. Unless they have had a philosophical shift in what they believe and how they do it, I don't think they're trading out of 27 to move back, even though they don't have a second-round draft pick. That being said, I agree with you. I love following the mock drafts. I read Jeff's this morning. I read a lot of them this morning. This is what I would say about pick 27. If it's not one of four positions, I would be utterly and completely shocked. If it's not a defensive end like Sam Hubbard, if it's not a tight end like Mike Gesicki or Hayden Hurst or Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State, if it's not a wide receiver like Christian Kirk, or if it's not a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, if it's not one of those four positions, I would be absolutely blown away. I agree we can be all over the board with who they're going to take, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, defensive end. If it's not one of those four positions at 27, that would blow me away. So we can talk about a bunch of players, but I think it's going to be a player at one of those four spots.
Yeah, I tend to agree, especially the way this year's draft prospect big board falls. I mean, when you start looking at the end of the first round where the Saints are at, there's not a lot of players, and I know that they're going to, you take the best player available, but they're not going to take a running back at number 27. They're not going to, I don't think they'll take a guard. Maybe they will. There's a lot of guards around that area, but there's certain positions that the Saints have a little bit more of a need for than others, and I don't think they're going to delve into those positions where they're already stacked, say at running back. That would make no sense. So they've got enough needs, like you said, Fletch, at wide receiver, tight end, even backup quarterback. I just would be surprised if they took a quarterback now. I mean, I like the way their quarterback depth chart stacks. You've got Breeze. He's the clear franchise quarterback. You got a veteran backup, Tom Savage, who's started games in the NFL. And then you got your developmental guy in Taysom Hill. If you take another quarterback, I don't know what you do. Are you already giving up on Taysom Hill? Are you going to try and risk putting him on the practice squad, slipping him through? I don't think that's going to work. Are you just going to get rid of Tom Savage? Then you got Taysom Hill and rookie quarterback. I mean, you have no experience. So I really think they're going to – I'll be surprised if they take a quarterback. I really will, just because of what they've done so far in the offseason.
Yeah, look, and that's a great point. I mean, Sean Payton raved about Taysom Hill. We heard the national broadcasters talk about Payton, saying that Drew Brees' heir apparent is in the building. And I know Sean Payton kind of backed off that, but I know he was speaking of Taysom Hill in glowing terms. And then you did sign Tom Savage, who still may have a salvageable career, but I certainly look at him more as a backup. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback, because I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to get to 27. I certainly think those top guys are going to be gone. Darnold, Rosen, Allen, and Baker Mayfield way before 27. None of those guys are making an Aaron Rodgers type fall, to 27. And I really think a team like Arizona or San Diego that's got Phillip Rivers, who's going to be 38 years old, I certainly think there's going to be a team there that picks before the Saints that may jump on Lamar Jackson. So I could see the Saints taking a quarterback just because they've kicked the tires, and Mickey Loomis goes with that company line of, we're always in the quarterback business. And, to me, you have to have a great quarterback in the NFL to succeed. We could talk about all the other position groups and all the other things that go into being a successful NFL franchise. But the one consistent is having a great quarterback. And if you either have a great quarterback or you're looking for a great quarterback. So I disagree a little bit with the fact that if a great quarterback is there, they would take him and they would move off of Tom Savage or Taysom Hill real quickly. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback at 27, because I don't think any of the top 5 guys are going to be there, and I don't think Mason Rudolph is a guy. I think he's more of a product of that Oklahoma State system, so I don't think he's going to be their guy. But I don't think a quarterback is going to be the pick at 27. Not because I don't think they're I guess I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but not because of Taysom Hill and in Savage being the guys, but just because one of the top guys is not going to be there.
That's fair. And just to kind of switch and pivot here a little bit, let's take it inside, take it to the hard court, talk a little bit Pelicans. Obviously, the team's coming off a really tough, gritty performance against the Trailblazers last night, a loss. Currently still 5th in the standings, but with a really, really big game against the Cavaliers in Cleveland tomorrow night. Fletch, just talk a little bit about the Pelicans and kind of a lot of things that we've been seeing with, we know Anthony Davis has been the rock, but kind of really seeing a lot of other guys stepping up. But it's crunch time now, and this team has really got to get as many wins as possible to keep pace.
Yeah, without question. I mean, look, Friday night in Cleveland is going to be a tough game. And then Sunday, Easter Sunday against Oklahoma City. I mean, that's a team you're right there, neck and neck with in the Western Conference standings. To me, the Pelicans have to avoid the 7 or 8 seed. All those teams right now, Portland to me is going to finish 3. All those teams 4 through 10 right now, when you start looking at them, are so jumbled up. If the Pelicans can avoid finishing 7th or 8th, if they can avoid Houston or Golden State in the first round, they truly have a chance. I mean, look, we saw them go toe-to-toe with Portland. If they finish 6th and Portland finishes 3, I think the Pelicans have a chance in that 7-game series to win it. Same with anyone else. If it's a 4-5 matchup against Oklahoma City, if they have to play the Spurs, I don't think those are series that you look at the Pelicans and say, this isn't a good matchup. So to me, All these final 7 games are going to be crucial. They've got 3 on the road. They've got some tough games at home against Oklahoma City and other teams in the Western Conference. So to me, as long as they finish, 4, 5, or 6, they truly have a chance to win a first-round series, which would be the first time in 10 years since 2008 when they beat the Mavericks in 5 games that they could win a playoff series, which is hard to believe, but it would be a nice step for this organization.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fletch. I mean, this team has as long as they can avoid 7 or 8, I think it's one and done if they get 7 or 8. Unfortunately, the West is just a 2-team race at the top. But I'm a little worried that they might not even get there. I don't think it's out of the question that they could actually miss the playoffs altogether. I think they're going to make it. I think the magic number is to get to 46 wins. I think you're in if you get to 46. But looking at the rest of the schedule, there's only really 2 gimmies, in my opinion, the rest of the way of their 7 remaining games. And I think they've got to win one of the 2 home games against OKC on Sunday, Easter Sunday, or the Spurs game at the end of the year. Those are kind of toss-up games. I don't think they can afford to drop both of those games because some of these other games look very difficult on the road.
Without question, and I agree with you. I think that they could still miss the playoffs, but the Clippers in Denver right now just cannot find their footing, so to say. Unless Denver has a real late-season push here, I think the Pelicans are going to get in. But, look, if you finish 8, I know they've had some great games with Houston, but Houston has so much depth that they just can't beat them in a 7-game series. And even the Warriors without Steph Curry, I mean, they still have a tremendous lineup and a tremendous roster. I don't think the Pelicans are going to get swept by Houston or Golden State like they got swept 3 years ago when they played the Warriors, but I don't think they have enough to get past them. But you're right. Look, I go back to 3 years ago. When the Pelicans got into the playoffs, they had to beat San Antonio on the final game of the season to get in. San Antonio, by losing that game, fell from 3 to 6, and it really hurt them in the playoffs. So you're right. All these games matter for the Pelicans, and they could truly finish as high as 4, or they could finish 8. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, even though that's still a realistic possibility. But to me, again, to echo what I said earlier, they got to avoid 7 or 8. If they avoid 7 or 8, they've given themselves a chance. And I like them in a matchup against Portland, a weakened San Antonio team, an Oklahoma City team that runs hot and cold on any given night. I like them in any of those matchups facing any of those teams. I would hate a matchup against Utah. If it was a 4-5 matchup against the Jazz, I think the Pelicans would be in real trouble. But I just don't see that happening. But that would be the other team that I would say would be a horrible problem for the Pelicans. But I just don't see how that would shake out. Utah and New Orleans getting to 4 and 5. That would just be crazy.
Fletcher Mackel, sports director at WDSU, always on top of the local sports scene. And Fletch, thanks for joining the program. I promise we'll get you back on quicker than 4, 5, or 6.
Don't let Dave discourage you. It's fine.
Look, it's an in-demand show. I understand. People are like fighting to get on there. So it's one of those things. I'll take any opportunity I can get.
All right, buddy. Look, I assume I'll see you out at the arena on Sunday.
You will indeed, yes.
All right, thank you. Fletcher Mackel, sports director, WDSU.
Now Sharif is going to complain because he's going to want to be on the show, and the rest of these guys, well, we're not going to get on the show. When are we going to get on the show?
It's hard to get on,
man.
Baby. It's a packed lineup, and we will
just walk across the street.
Also true. I told him he could do that last night.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will talk a little more NFL draft, and then we'll visit with Todd Masson at 11:30, and get a little layout of the local fishing calendar as we head into the weekend. You're listening to Duncan Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
Derek Smalls, formerly of the band, formerly known as Spinal Tap, brings Lukewarm Water live to the Sanger Theater Saturday, April 14th. Win your way in at sports1280.com/contests.
You know, before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
Offer ends 4/16/18. First lines $100 a month. Lines 2 to 4 free. Requires 1 line to port in. Includes unlimited talk, text, and data with video streams at up to 480p. Music at up to 500 kilobits per second. Gaming up to 2 megabits per second. Data deprioritization during congestion. Refunds require port-in, purchase of eligible device, and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to 1 Hulu limited commercials plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free. That's iHeartRadio. All your favorite music.
This is Tyler from Theory of a Dead Man.
This is Jared from 30 Seconds to Mars. This is iHeartRadio.
And iHeartRadio is all your favorite stations. Thousands of the best radio stations from across the country. Plus, iHeartRadio is free. Download the app today. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
iHeartRadio. Yoda, what should I do with this Land Cruiser I don't drive anymore?
Donate, you must. Yoda's right. Right now, you can donate your vehicle to the National Federation of the Blind by calling 866-282-7327. That's 866-282-7327. Or if you know a blind person who needs help, please email nfb@nfb.org.
A tax deduction you will receive.
And it doesn't take the force to be charitable.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back. Jeff Duncan, Clabberdan, Dave DeCorbier, Dunc and Holder, Thursday, March 29th, and we are talking Saints NFL Draft. In particular, would the Saints be willing to trade? I will take a little issue with what Fletcher said, and I rarely do this, but he's looking at historical drafts and determining that the Saints always trade up. And he's right. Larry Holder, our colleague, our co-host here, who's off again today, taking a little downtime, much deserved after his trip down to Orlando. Larry also points out the Saints' history of always trading up in the Sean Payton era. But I think it's a little different this year. You don't have a second-round pick. You're at the bottom of the first round. This draft, by all accounts, is about a 20 to 22 player deep first round. So that means most of the first round graded players are going to be off the board when the Saints get around at 27. So the player they take at 27 is not going to be much different than a guy they would take at 40 grade wise. I think this year more than ever almost lends itself to trading down, reacquiring that second round pick, and then dealing away some of those fifth and sixth rounders if you must, to move up and maybe get in the third or fourth round and get some players that can make this roster. Because this roster, the starting lineup set, it's probably not likely that whoever they draft in the first round or even the second round is going to start for this team. So they're getting players for down the road, get some guys that can make the team and contribute, as opposed to down in the sixth, seventh round. Those guys unlikely, I think, to make this team. So I could see them making a trade. I really could.
I have a question for you from our YouTubers, which, again, just shout out to them. Always here every day in the comment stream. This one is from Loverboy Love. His question is, specifically, do you think the Saints use the bounty, no pun intended, of picks to move up into the top 5 or 10 to get Bradley Chubb if he falls with all the QBs rising?
I don't think he's going to fall that far. I think he's going to go in the top 10. I can't see them going up into the top 10. That's going to require too much to get up there from 27. I mean, they might be able to make incremental deals. Just look how many draft picks the Bills have had to trade away to move up where they've moved, and they were already up, what were they, 12th or 11th, I think, to move up to where they're at right now. From 27 up into the top 10 to get Chubb, that would be difficult. Now, could they get up to, say, 17 or 15 and get, say, in the Marcus Davenport country?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's possible. But now you're trading a lot to get up for a player that, frankly, I haven't looked at tape of him. I'm not a tape watcher, But I don't know. I mean, he's coming out of Texas San Antonio. He's a former wide receiver. He clearly has a lot of potential, but who knows if he's going to make an impact right away or not.
And look, Frank Wilson, I mean, let's not sleep on Frank Wilson. Frank Wilson and what he was able to do for Les Miles and LSU as one of the main recruiters of quality stud talent should not go unnoticed. And for him specifically now in this role as a head coach, which I can't even I don't know how long he's going to be at UTSA. Nothing against UTSA, but I think he's going to be able to turn around a team. I think he knows talent when he sees it, and for him to be able to transition a player from offense to defense and bulking him up to make him a force, I think that's huge. And another really quick shout out to our one angry midget dude on Twitter. The eyes don't lie. Unless you have a willing partner to move up or down, you take the best player available. We could use help everywhere, even if it's just depth. Hitting on the pick is more important than trying to address a need, and I know you agree with that, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, best player available is probably the way the Saints are going to go. All right, another break around the corner here, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little angling with Todd Marshman Masson, get a fishing report for the weekend right here on Duncan Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
Leaning on my pillow in the morning, lazy day in bed, music in my head, crazy music playing in the morning light. Oh, ho, ho, it's magic, you know.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. Get the umbrellas ready. We are expecting heavy rain, showers, and thunderstorms. Some of those could be strong to even possibly severe late morning through the afternoon. We're expecting an 80% chance of rain. Now tonight, all the rain ends. Overnight lows in the low to mid 50s, so we cool down and get ready for a beautiful upcoming holiday weekend. Good Friday, turning mostly sunny at 73. Saturday, sunny at 76, and mostly sunny Easter Sunday, warming up to 81. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
It's the Waterway Village Zydeco and Crawfish Festival, Saturday, April 14th in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Make a weekend trip for plenty of crawfish, arts and crafts vendors, children's activities, and the best Zydeco bands from around the South. Get more info at gsob.co/crawfish.
You know, before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So, we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu, where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
Offer ends 4/16/18. First lines $100 a month. Lines 2 to 4 free. Requires 1 line to port in. Includes unlimited talk, text, and data with video streams at up to 480p. Music at up to 500 kilobits per second. Gaming up to 2 megabits per second. Data deprioritization during congestion. Refunds require port-in, purchase of eligible device, and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to 1 Hulu limited commercial plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
There you are. I've got great news. When you use your Capital One Venture card to book and pay for a room on Hotels.com/venture, you'll earn 10 miles for every dollar you spend at thousands of hotels. Doesn't that sound amazing?
It does, just like the smooth jazz in this hotel lounge.
Wow, Captain Obvious. I didn't realize you were such a jazz fan.
I have 2 loves in my life, this deal and the jazz tuba.
Clearly, it loves you right back. What's in your wallet?
Offer available through January 2020. Capital One Bank USA N.A.
New Orleans sports talk about your favorite teams. Sports 1280.
Welcome back. Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdun, David Corbier. We are live from downtown New Orleans at the iHeartRadio studios, and we welcome into the program one of our favorite guests, our weekly guest every Thursday, Todd Marshman Masson. And Todd, I got to ask you real quick before we get into fishing talk, because I want to hear how your City Park adventure went, but I know you keep your ear to the ground on the Saints. If you had your druthers, who would you draft in round 1 for the New Orleans Saints?
Man, yeah, you're right, Jeff. I am a big Saints fan. I tell you what, I almost cried last year when the Saints drafted Lattimore. I was so ecstatic. Actually, that's not true at all. When they drafted Lattimore, I was a little bit disappointed. But, man, it definitely worked out well for the team. Man.
Now, you don't give me a name. Just if you needed to add a position, where would you go?
Yeah, obviously, I think you needed another defensive end. I think you could use another defensive tackle. We seem pretty set with linebacker now after getting the guy from the Jets. So, defensive backfield looks pretty good. Maybe some depth of running back later in the draft. I don't think you go there first round, but we definitely need some help at receiver. I'll tell you that. That's in my opinion a no-brainer. I think that's the biggest need for the Saints going into the 2018 season. I think our receiving core definitely underperformed a little bit. Obviously, Michael Thomas being the major exception, but I think we need some help at receiver. But I think probably we're going to go defensive line first round in the draft. What are you thinking now? Mock draft, whatever iteration we're in now. What's your guess currently?
Well, I went with actually receiver, DJ Moore, receiver out of Maryland, just because I agree with you. I think when you trade away Brandon Cooks, you're obviously losing a lot at receiver. And the concern I have, which I think most Saints fans have, is what happens if Mike Thomas goes down? Oh, my gosh. I mean, there really isn't much behind him. Ted Ginn Jr. is a good role player at this stage of his career, but they need one more threat out there. So I could see them going receiver, even though usually I don't think the Saints are keen on drafting receivers that high because they find receivers down the third, fourth, fifth round that can be productive. We've seen it through the years, but this year I think's a little different. So I could see them going receiver. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little fishing because I'm curious. You were out last time we talked to you last week. You were out at City Park wetting a line along with the record holder now. I still can't believe somebody caught a 9-pound bass out of the lagoons at City Park. How'd that day go for you?
Yeah, the day went okay. We were there actually shooting a spot for C.T. Williams for Fox 8 News that evening, so that kind of really took the priority. We kind of did a little competition, an hour to try and catch a bass, and it didn't work out for us. So I ended up saying, "Hey, Brock, let's go catch a brim. Let's catch anything," and we were able to catch some brim. But I can tell you, City Park is definitely a very underrated fishery. Now it gets a tremendous amount of pressure because of where it's located and because it does produce such good fish. There's some guys who are literally, I don't mean this figuratively, I mean it literally, addicted to fishing City Park. In fact, the guy I went with, Brock Corcoran, fishes City Park 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. I asked him when I was talking, I'm like, Brock, how many days a week would you estimate you fish City Park? I was thinking he was going to say, 1 or 2, whatever. He said, 7. I'm like, 7? He said, yeah, I fish here every single day, at least 8 hours every day. I'm like, wow. And there's a few guys who are that way. Tim Zissis, another guy, Mike Laviolette, these guys who consistently catch bass approaching double digits. Nobody's ever caught a double-digit fish out of lagoons at City Park, at least now with a rod and reel. But somebody will. I guarantee you somebody will. So, yeah, it's a great fishery. You know what else, Jeff, is an up-and-coming fishery is Bayou St. John. Bayou St. John obviously has a legendary history here in the New Orleans area. It kind of got polluted, really, for a while. It didn't have a lot of water exchange with Lake Pontchartrain, but it does now. They've got a different lock system set up there to allow water to come into Bayou St. John. But actually, Bayou St. John cannot have it can't be wide open to the lake anymore because New Orleans has sunk so much that actually Bayou St. John would flood New Orleans. So they have to kind of meet the flow coming into the bayou itself. But it does have interaction now with Lake Pontchartrain. And that's really improved the water quality in Bayou St. John. So the fishery's up and coming. They've got a bunch of redfish in there. Anglers actually can catch speckled trout now in Lake Pontchartrain. Not many of them, but there are some in there. So that whole area is just, the state's done a lot of work improving the lagoons at City Park, improving Bayou St. John, and you can definitely see the results in the productivity of those fisheries. So, people ask me all the time, so one question I get more than any other, hey, Todd, I don't have a boat. Where can I go catch fish close to the New Orleans area, and that's a place nobody should ever overlook, particularly if you want to take a kid to go catch a bunch of panfish, something like that. Man, check out the City Park Lagoons, or even aside from that, if you want a chance to catch a redfish, go to Bight St. John.
Talking to Todd Marshman Masson, who has a great feed on YouTube right now. If you get a chance, subscribe to Todd's Marshman videos. He does great work out fishing in the local area, kind of tells you where to go and how to catch them. And Todd, last time we talked, the Bonnet-Carré Spillway was wide open, and they were pouring water out to try and divert some of the flow from the Mississippi River. They've started closing those bays. How is that affecting fishing in the area? How will it affect fishing in the future?
Yeah, well, closing of the bays now is, it's almost kind of irrelevant because, the lake's full of river water. Of course, I'm sure most listeners have seen the blue-green algae reports of the algae in Lake Pontchartrain. It's just kind of one of those deals. Unfortunately, the body of water, so it doesn't filter out into the marshland where all those nutrients are absorbed. It is just all those nutrients are all out there in the open water. The sun hits them. They cause algae to just explode, and the algae dies. It sinks to the bottom, causes hypoxic water. So it's kind of it can be a short-term problem. But long-term, and look, we're not going to have good fishing in Lake Pontchartrain this spring. It's just not going to happen. But long-term, we will. We will have very good fishing there this fall. The crabbing will be fantastic. For areas outside of Lake Pontchartrain, actually, they can benefit from Bonnet-Carré opening because it kind of forces the fish out of Lake Pontchartrain and forces them to stockpile in other areas. So Lake Bourne should see a good fishery. Remember the last time we had a Bonnet-Carré opening, Bay Elwha out of Shell Beach had an extraordinary fishery, really, really good. It maintained clean water throughout the summer and produced a whole lot of speckled trout. So, stuff like that will happen again. It's absolutely impossible to say at this point where those fish will set up, where the clean water will set up, where the bait will be. So it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out how that all shakes out. But no question about it, we'll have great fishing this late spring and summer in southeast Louisiana. We all were kind of concerned with the very cold weather we had this winter about how many speckled trout survived this winter. I can tell you, based on the reports that I've gotten over the last 6 to 8 weeks, all of our fears were for naught. It's going to be a really, really good speckled trout season as soon as we get this wind to die. The wind has just been so extreme this fall.
It's brutal.
This spring. It's really been silly. So we need that to improve, and as soon as the conditions improve, man, the fishing is just going to be top-notch.
And, Todd, if you were going to go out, say, this weekend, we just had a little rain, obviously, in the area, some severe storms in the area, but where would you go? If you were going to go target an area, is there any particular area that's hot, or is it just kind of find your favorite fishing hole?
Well, Jeff, March is not the best speckled trout month. They tend to scatter, and, look, speckled trout are the number one fish here in southeast Louisiana. That's what everybody thinks about. The speckled trout are scattered right now. You're not going to sink the boat in one spot. You're going to have to work and move, but you want to fish those transition areas. You want to fish kind of that fringe marsh, the area between the wintering grounds and the offshore spawning grounds. Those fish move outside in the late spring and summer to spawn. So you want to kind of intercept them this time of year. You want to fish areas like Bay Lafourche and Oak River Bay and Lake Campo and the upper edges of Barataria Bay, Government Reef, places like that. Even over toward the west by Du Large, you want to fish Lake Michon, Sister Lake. All of that is good right now. But again, you're going to have to move. You have to stay on your trolling motor, fish under a cork. That's generally your best bet this time of year, and just cover a whole lot of water. When you get on 3, 4, 5 fish, put that cage and anchor down, put the power pole down, fish that out while it lasts, and as soon as it quits, pull that anchor up and continue your drift. Just cover some water. That's the name of the game. Fish a cork. It's much more efficient. It's not as much fun, in my opinion, but it's definitely more efficient and productive. So just be mobile this time of year. That's the number one advice I can give to people.
All right, Todd, how can people follow you if they're interested in following all your reports about fishing in the area?
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. Go subscribe to Marshman Masson on YouTube. You will get an email every time I post. Put up a new video. In fact, I got one coming out a little bit later today. I'm working on it now. So Marshman Masson on YouTube. Masson spelled M-A-S-S-O-N. 2 S's in there. Make sure you get that second S. But lots of good stuff on there and lots of great stuff yet to come.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. We'll talk to you next week on Thursday, as always, bud. I appreciate the
Sounds
visit.
good. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Take care.
All right, that's Todd Masson, the Marshman, as he's known around town. And we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll finish up the program and talk a little more Saints NFL draft and also look ahead to the Pelicans this weekend and some of their schedules. You're listening to Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
On our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow.
A 4-foot by 6-foot box of dirt lies in wait, lined with chalk, undisturbed. For now, the Cakes are ready to dig back in for another summer on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
I'm Dave Marley, president of Marley Drug. Are you taking Viagra? Now you can get sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, in generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet. That's a savings of $50 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic sildenafil to your door. For more information on sildenafil, go to marleygenerics.com or call us at 800-853-6375. That's 800-853-6375.
The durability of tile, the beauty of wood. It's easier than ever to have both with Wood Look Tile. The Home Depot makes the wood look floor you want affordable with Ansley Amber Wood Look Tile starting at $1.89 a square foot. It truly is the best of both worlds, durable and beautiful. Ansley Amber Wood Look Tile starting at just $1.89 a square foot. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store.
The WWE and the World War II Museum are hosting a veteran career panel and networking event Tuesday, April 3rd from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. This event is free and open to all U.S. military members, veterans, and their spouses. This free veteran career panel and networking event with Hire Heroes USA will consist of career coaching, resume writing, and interview techniques. To register for this event, go to eventbrite.com and search WWE's Veteran Career Panel and Networking Event. That's Tuesday, April 3rd from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the World War II Museum.
Enjoy great New Orleans food from 8 local restaurants right on the 18th hole. Plus the excitement of watching the greatest golfers in the world. Now that's a party. The Champions Club at the Zurich Classic, April 26th through 29th. For tickets, call today or visit ZurichGolfClassic.com.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-500-8121. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-500-8121. That's 1-800-500-8121. 1-800-500-8121.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather
Dunc and Holder now. Eric Asher next at noon on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
go out and see what you can find.
I'm digging this Throwback Thursday. The music list is top notch.
Can you name this performer?
No, I can't. I want to say Cat Stevens, but that's not.
No,
right.
that's definitely not Cat Stevens.
It's Mungo Jerry. I didn't even remember who sang this song, but Mungo Jerry.
Everybody knows that song.
I know the song, not the performer. That happens a lot with these. I don't want to discredit Mungo Jerry, but I'm assuming he was a one-hit wonder.
That would be correct.
Yes, those are always difficult. But when you get into the light rock world of the 80s, you end up with a lot of these awesome one-hit wonders, and that was one of them. Although I think Magic that we played a while ago, that was probably a one-hit wonder as well. Did the Starland Vocal Band have more than one hit?
No, that was it. That was it.
I love it. I love it. The 80s were filled with that, and I can't get enough of it. So I think we've started a new trend here on the Duncan Holder show.
I don't know if we've done that.
With
I
Larry
think,
being absent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Larry's going to be a winner.
Every time Larry leaves, something crazy happens.
You know, and you realize that he specifically told us yesterday to be good, play nice, and not burn the show down. I think we're really close. I can't wait for Friday because I think if this place isn't on fire, then we've done something wrong.
Well, speaking of chaos, Anthony Davis started a little chaos this week on his Twitter feed. He actually put up a poll. He must have been listening to Duncan Holder because we are poll happy. We're poll daddies here.
Yeah, we are. Our polls have been doing well lately.
AD put up a poll. Clyde, tell the listeners what AD did. I think this was a couple of days ago, right? Or yesterday.
This was yesterday. And you can still vote in this poll. You have 2 hours left. But right now it's not looking good. Anthony Davis, from his personal Twitter account, his verified Twitter account, is asking one simple question of all those who are in New Orleans, who follow basketball, who love the Pelicans. Doesn't matter. Should I shave my brow? Yep.
No.
Or nah?
No.
I voted in this poll so I can see what the numbers are. And for you, the loyal listeners, these numbers are truly shocking. 51% of people are with, yep, shave that thing. 40, break it, yes, thank you.
Who are these idiots?
Who was voting for this?
Who votes to shave the brow?
49%.
That's his distinct look.
That's him. That's literally the brow. The brow, boogie in the brow. That's what this is. 51% of people. It has 615,000 votes.
That's a little more than we've had on some of our polls. Just a few.
By one or two,
we
maybe.
614,000.
Right. So about 400, 500.
Girl Scout cookie poll I did.
Totally comparable.
600,000. Yeah.
Totally comparable. But 51% of voters in this poll are say, yeah, he should shave it.
That's insane.
I don't, and I mean, here's when you know something is heavy. And I mean really heavy. And when I say heavy, I mean specifically, I can't believe that they're writing something about this. Literally today, our colleague on the news side, Chelsea Brasted, did a story on this with the title of that story being Anthony Davis, don't shave your unibrow, New Orleans needs it.
Do you think he's going to shave his unibrow?
I mean, he's already put it out.
He's got 2 hours left. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's man enough to shave it if that's what the American public calls for.
I mean, you got to be a man of your word, right? Almost. I mean, if you're going to put this out on Twitter and people are now
for an opinion, it wasn't like I'm going to do it according to your vote.
Oh, that's a good. This wasn't quite Larry Holder-esque.
Right, exactly. He didn't make a grand proclamation.
He didn't.
We don't have to go to Tracy's and get him in the barber chair.
I was going to say, can we work that out? Can we work that out too?
The shearing of AD's brow.
There's almost as much hair on his brow as there was on Larry's head.
It's true.
He's got a big brow.
Yeah, and one of those is worth way more.
I think it's part of his mystique, his essence. You cannot shave the brow. That's his whole name. Like, as you accurately pointed out, boogie in the brow. What are we gonna do? Boogie in the what?
Boogie in the
AD? That doesn't work.
Boogie in the clean strip? I don't know. I have no idea.
Strip.
That's all I got. That's all I got. I don't know.
Strip.
Let's just say
He's not getting a Brazilian wax or anything.
I mean, he might. I mean, to get it all in one shot, just put it right between his eyebrows and just rip. Just take it. But in the story that Chelsea did, which is really good, she uses some interviews that Anthony Davis did, specifically on the Late Late Show with James Corden, the talented, versatily talented James Corden. He says, in high school one time, like sophomore year, when it first started filling in, Davis said he was teased by fellow students about the brow. I heard everything, so I felt some type of way. I love that. I felt some type of way, so I told my sister, get in the bathroom, close the door. She did it. Here he mimed shaving it off. What happened then? Davis had the answer. It grew back thicker, he said. We can't keep doing this, so I just left it alone. So clearly, this is something that he's thought about before in terms of like actually doing something about it. Now, granted, there's some really, really extra egregious unibrows out here by some folks that they need to get worked. But I mean, sometimes you do a little work up here. I mean, it's not that bad, but you got to maintain it.
I think it adds to
I do a little something in here just because I don't want to get too much, so it's all right.
Well, it's a little Ti, a little too much information.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to be honest.
Your personal.
I mean, people calling me out about the story that I did. Story that I did a couple days ago for Monday on OBJ and stuff. And I'm just trying to be honest.
A little sensitive, are we? Here's my point on AD's brow. It's part of what makes him fearsome looking. I think it's going to hurt his ability to be this defensive dominator in the lane.
Oh, as opposed to being a 7 foot tall, 11, 12 foot wingspan dominating presence in the force.
It adds to the mystique. It's sort of like the closers with the long hair and the beards. You're making a statement. That brow makes a statement. If he shaves that thing, he's just going to be another 6'11" dude in the lane, albeit a great offensive player. But he needs to keep the brow. It's scary, frankly. I would be stunned if he shows up against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday night. That's the Pels' next game.
Yes,
and he's got, as you say, a clean strip between his eyebrows.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, it's something that if it's a conversation that we're talking about body grooming, personal grooming checks, then where does it stop?
Do a Google search right now. Anthony Davis brow T-shirts. There's a cottage industry.
The Pelicans made. Yeah, absolutely.
On his brow. There's T-shirts
the little
everywhere.
doll the plush doll that we has a little brow. It's a whole thing, man.
It's a travesty. I don't like where this is going. I'm gonna have to talk to AD. I'm certainly gonna talk to him about it on Easter Sunday.
And as Chelsea closes it out, because it's true. Remember that, Anthony. The brow needs you. We all need you.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a playoff race.
Don't brow down.
Let's go.
Don't know how.
Don't get browbeaten by the public.
You should have stopped when you were ahead.
Yeah, you should have stopped.
Never. I don't understand if you guys don't have to realize that that's what I do. That's what I do.
All right, that's it for today's program. We are thankfully ending this personal grooming update from Clyde Verdant. I want to thank Tim Grubbs from the Babycakes. And I want to thank Fletcher Mackel, WDSU Sports Director, and, of course, Todd Marshman Masson. Once again, another great action-packed Thursday. I love the music lineup. I like the trend we started today. And if you missed the program, you can always catch it on Sports 1280's website, NOLA.com. We'll have the iHeartRadio app updates as well. We have our podcast, and Clyde does a great job of getting our most compelling segment of the day up on NOLA.com, so make sure you check that out. And we'll be back here tomorrow, once again, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. You're listening to Dunc and Holder. See you tomorrow.
Before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu, where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching